Our faith journey is full of questions. We understand that. In fact, we created the It's Tricky series because you have questions. And by the way, it's okay to have questions because it's in the questions that we grow. It's in the questions that we build a foundation for our faith journey. One of the questions that you've been asking in many different forms is about sex. Good, because the Bible talks a lot about sex. God created sex, and so he wants us to understand it. But what people have been asking is it okay to have sex before marriage? In other words, when is sex appropriate? Well, let's look at what Jesus said. Jesus in Matthew chapter 19 talks about sex. And here's what he says. He says, have you not read? Now, what he's doing is he's getting ready to quote the Old Testament. See, from the very beginning, sex has been in God's Word. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, and in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, God gives us a plan and a foundation for sex. And Jesus is taking us back to that plan because it's a good plan. And here's what he says. He said, have you not read that he, God, who created them from the beginning, made them male and female? And he said, therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. That's sex. See, from the very beginning, God created sex, and he had a plan for sex. It goes on, it says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. What he's doing is giving us the importance of sex. See, we trivialize sex. We make sex momentary. We make sex temporary. We make sex all about pleasure. Clearly, what Jesus is saying here is that sex is for marriage, and that marriage is for sex. And that it's not just about pleasure. While it is pleasurable, it's about expressing love, becoming one flesh. And God's plan has always been for that to happen in marriage. So here's the answer. Is it okay to have sex before marriage? Not according to God's plan, not according to God's Word. And we've decided that God's Word is the truth and the standard by which we build our lives. So here's what I would encourage you to do. I would encourage you to wait. Wait on God's plan.